In court today, Mayor Tiffany Henyard faced accusations of making unlawful nominations to numerous positions within her municipality, adding to a growing list of controversies that have brought her under intense scrutiny. Once known for her ambitions and leadership, Henyard has recently become a fixture in the news for reasons far removed from the accomplishments of her mayoral office. The unfolding saga has taken a drastic turn, with headlines now centering on allegations of abuse of power, scandal, and legal battles that may ultimately bring an end to her political career. What complicates the situation even further is the unexpected betrayal from her own inner circle. Her boyfriend, someone she likely relied on for support during this tumultuous time, has reportedly turned against her, cooperating with investigators and providing insights that could be damaging to her defense. This betrayal is not only shocking but also adds a personal element to the already heated and complex situation. In a public arena as high-profile as politics, personal and professional lines are often blurred, but few could have predicted such a dramatic turn, especially one involving Henyard's closest confidants. The accusations against her include misuse of power and manipulation of municipal roles, with claims that Henyard installed allies in key positions to further her agenda. The courtroom setting today saw a fierce battle as Henyard's legal team attempted to counter these allegations, arguing that any appointments were within her rights as mayor. However, evidence presented by the prosecution painted a different picture, one of orchestrated efforts to stack the municipal ranks with loyalists, potentially undermining checks and balances essential for fair governance. These courtroom revelations have cast a long shadow over her tenure as mayor, with many questioning if her actions were truly for the good of the municipality or simply a means of securing more power for herself. To make matters worse, Henyard's once staunch allies in local politics appear to be distancing themselves from her, wary of the potential fallout. In an era where public officials are increasingly held accountable by both the media and the public, Henyard's unfolding legal battle is a stark reminder of the consequences that can arise when power is allegedly abused. Her case has become a focal point of discussion, not just in her municipality but across the region, drawing attention from voters, political analysts, and officials who see in her story a cautionary tale about the risks of unchecked authority. Meanwhile, as the courtroom drama continues to heat up, Henyard finds herself not only fighting for her political future, but also navigating the personal betrayal that has appended her inner circle. The fallout from her boyfriend's testimony is likely to have a lasting impact on her defense strategy, raising questions about loyalty, integrity, and the personal costs of a career in politics. With each day in court, the stakes rise higher and the public watches closely, wondering how much more will be revealed and if Henyard can withstand the mounting pressure. In a whirlwind of allegations, scandal, and unexpected betrayals, Henyard's future remains uncertain, teetering on the edge of political ruin and personal devastation as the case unfolds.
Some things as the supervisor, there will be no comments, there will be anything, it will just be me addressing you guys to tell you what.
Imagine Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, seated in a crowded courtroom, her face calm but her eyes showing the strain of betrayal as she watches her own boyfriend, her closest confidant and a partner who had stood by her through thick and thin, take the witness stand against her. His testimony, a detailed account of her alleged wrongdoings, reveals secrets she had desperately tried to keep hidden, igniting a scandal that now threatens to consume her career, her reputation, and perhaps even her freedom. It's a betrayal straight out of a high-stakes thriller, a drama intensified by the FBI's involvement as federal agents dig deep into her history. This isn't just a local political scandal. It's an investigation that probes into Henyard's life and leadership, peeling back the layers of a woman who once seemed unassailable in her position of power. What began as whispers of questionable appointments and misuse of office has now escalated into a full-blown crisis with the FBI at the helm, exploring every possible lead and scrutinizing every decision Henyard made during her tenure. The boyfriend's testimony has only fueled the fire, lending credibility to accusations that had previously been dismissed as mere political gamesmanship. His revelations paint a picture of a leader willing to bend or break the rules to maintain control, exposing allegations of behind-the-scenes manipulations and ethically dubious decisions. It's a portrait that contrasts starkly with the public image Henyard has built, a woman of resilience and drive, who rose through the ranks to hold the office of mayor. But as her boyfriend's words echo through the courtroom, each detail further corrodes that image, casting a shadow not just over her career, but over her personal life as well. The ripple effects of this case extend far beyond Dolton, shaking confidence in the town's governance and raising questions about the potential consequences for the Illinois political scene at large. Federal agents are said to be exploring leads that could lead to criminal charges that may not only end her career but also damage the credibility of those in her circle who supported her rise. Henyard now finds herself at the center of a storm, her every move scrutinized, her intentions questioned. Meanwhile, the betrayal from her inner circle has left her isolated, with few allies left to lean on as the case unfolds. The high-stakes nature of the situation underscores just how much she stands to lose: her position, her future, and possibly even her freedom. The courtroom proceedings have taken on an almost cinematic intensity as Henyard's political life and personal reputation unravel simultaneously, threatening to reduce everything she's worked to build to ruins. Her fate remains uncertain, hinging on every new detail that surfaces and every decision made in the courtroom, with the FBI's investigation poised to reveal much more.
Is shameful. Y'all are a disgrace.
We're watching the fall of this administration.
What exactly is happening to Tiffany Henyard's once promising political career, and how did it descend into such chaos? To understand this explosive situation, we need to look back on the controversies that have dogged Henyard for years. While her issues didn't start recently, they've now reached a critical point, especially with her boyfriend's recent testimony against her. Henyard's troubles started with whispers and small-scale scandals, but things have escalated dramatically. Allegations around misuse of office, questionable appointments, and potential misuse of funds gradually piled up, leading to an increasing loss of public trust. For years, she managed to navigate these accusations, brushing them off as political attacks or exaggerations. However, when her boyfriend decided to testify against her, everything changed. His testimony is now a turning point, not only for the case but for her entire public image, as people question whether she was ever the leader she claimed to be, or if she was hiding something more sinister. His statements suggest that Henyard was not merely bending the rules but actively working to manipulate systems for her benefit. Testimony painted a picture of corruption, with charges of favoritism in appointments and financial misdeeds. If Henyard's supporters had previously believed her denials, they are now grappling with this stark portrayal of a leader who may have prioritized personal gain over public duty. In the courtroom, each revelation about Henyard's actions is like fuel to an already intense fire, exposing inconsistencies and raising questions about her decisions as mayor. Meanwhile, the FBI has launched an investigation, digging deeper into her financial records and historical dealings, raising the stakes as they search for evidence to back these allegations. People are wondering if she ever acted in the public's best interest, or if her entire career was a calculated exercise in self-serving decisions cloaked in public service. Beyond the courtroom, Henyard's boyfriend's betrayal underscores the crumbling of her inner circle, exposing rifts in her closest relationships. His willingness to testify against her suggests that the alleged corruption isn't just smoke but potentially a well-established pattern. This turn of events is more than a courtroom drama. It's a full-blown political scandal that has not only exposed Henyard to potential legal consequences, but has cast a lasting shadow over her legacy. In the days since his testimony, public reaction has been swift, with both supporters and critics scrutinizing her every move and re-evaluating her past achievements in light of these revelations. What once seemed like political friction now appears to be a much darker, more extensive abuse of power. And as the FBI digs further, it's clear that the fallout from this case could reach well beyond Dolton, perhaps even affecting the region's political landscape for years to come. For now, Henyard's future is precarious as each new revelation in court strips away another layer of trust. The once promising career she built is now on the brink of collapse, with her entire legacy and personal reputation at stake.
To some financial limits, we're not looking to necessarily...
Her boyfriend revealed in court that she had been misusing public funds to lavish herself with luxuries while the village of Dolton struggled financially. Imagine being a taxpayer in that town and seeing your hard-earned money go towards extravagant trips, fancy dinners, and who knows what else while your community is further in debt. If that wasn't bad enough, there are also claims that she has been making illegal appointments, avoiding the proper channels, and stacking important positions with her own allies to ensure she stays in control no matter what. Guess who was there to witness it all? Her now ex-exor
issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from
trustees' approval. She wasn't prepared for this kind of betrayal, and you can bet she didn't see it coming. The judge today declined to hold her in contempt, but he did warn her that if she didn't follow the ruling, he would. This shocking testimony has added layers of new accusations that even her most ardent critics hadn't anticipated. It's like pulling on a thread and watching the whole thing unfold reveal a much bigger scandal underneath Henyard's reaction in court. It seems like there is a fresh revelation every day, and suits have been flying everywhere. The question that everyone is asking is, how far does this go? It's not just about Henyard anymore. There are rumors that other local officials may also be involved in this web of corruption. So what began as a local scandal is now about to grow into something much larger. However, we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. The real question is, how did it all come to this? Let's take a step back and consider the wider picture.
For months, there is a new legal battle brewing in Dalton between the mayor and some village trustees.
As Regina Waldrop explains, it has a lot to do with two meetings held earlier.
Tiffany Henyard's rise to power in Dalton's political scene was rapid, but it was never without controversy. Her early career was marked by whispers of questionable tactics, allegations of sidestepping rules, and suspicions that her approach to governance wasn't entirely above board. Many noted that Henyard seemed to surround herself with loyalists, individuals who would rarely, if ever, challenge her decisions. These whispers grew into a consistent background noise, casting shadows over her achievements even as she ascended politically. While supporters viewed her as ambitious, others saw a leader willing to manipulate public appointments and leverage her authority to ensure her survival in office. Over the years, those suspicions solidified into recurring accusations, and Henyard found herself in and out of court, defending actions that were anything but straightforward. Legal battles over her attempts to dismiss officials who didn't align with her agenda were one example of her contentious leadership style. She allegedly replaced them with allies without proper authorization from the village board, pushing the boundaries of her authority at every opportunity. In these cases, courts ruled against her, but this didn't deter her. Rather, it seemed to embolden her to test the limits of her power further, seeing how far she could push before hitting a wall. Now, with the FBI stepping in, these past decisions have come back into the spotlight, casting Henyard's tenure in a harsh new light. The federal investigation has placed her previous tactics under intense scrutiny, with each past action viewed not as an isolated incident, but as part of a larger pattern of questionable governance. What once seemed like isolated attempts to consolidate power are now being examined as potentially unlawful abuses of office. Henyard's political resilience, once praised as determination, is now under fire as investigators dig into a history of legal gray areas that allowed her to exercise authority without much oversight. Supporters who once viewed her as a determined leader are now left questioning whether they were simply witnessing a skilled manipulation of the system. This investigation could reveal a much darker side to Henyard's governance style, one that leveraged power, influence, and authority to secure her position at any cost. As each new layer is peeled back in this case, it becomes evident that the controversies surrounding her were not just rumors, they were signs of an underlying willingness to bend rules. This high-profile investigation has placed her entire career under a microscope, with even her early achievements now re-examined for their legitimacy. Her past maneuvering in the shadows is catching up with her in the worst possible way, as a series of calculated risks has finally led to significant legal repercussions. The FBI's involvement signals that the stakes have never been higher, and as the investigation intensifies, the foundation of Henyard's career and reputation appears increasingly fragile. What was once her ascent to power is now a cautionary tale of how far ambition can push a leader, and the eventual fallout when it's left unchecked. The alleged employment of gang members to intimidate her political opponents is among the most startling charges from her background. Rivals, this is where things get really dark. I'm not sure if there is any truth to these rumors, but the length of time they have been going around says a lot. And given everything else that has happened, it's easy to think that Henyard might have gone to great lengths to protect her poor. After all, she has repeatedly demonstrated that she will stop at nothing to maintain control. Fast forward to the present, and Henyard is dealing with the biggest crisis of her career. Her boyfriend's testimony has opened the floodgates, and more people are beginning to come forward with their own stories. People are speaking out against her, accusing her of anything from squandering public funds on private indulgences to engaging in backdoor business dealings with nearby companies. Even her former co-workers are beginning to turn against her, offering evidence that may be vital to the ongoing inquiry. The FBI has intensified its investigation into Tiffany Henyard by issuing subpoenas to her and several of her closest associates, adding significant weight to the case against her and making this situation even more volatile. These individuals have been at Henyard's side from the very start of her political journey, knowing the inner details of her operations and decisions that could now come under intense scrutiny. With these subpoenas, the FBI is aiming to uncover new evidence that might expose a pattern of misconduct that extends beyond Dalton's borders, threatening to dismantle Henyard's defenses and unravel her career. But perhaps the most explosive element is her boyfriend's involvement. Not merely a casual observer, he played a key role in her life, privy to her day-to-day activities and aware of the political machinations she kept hidden from the public eye. His testimony holds particular significance as it reveals, metaphorically, where the bodies are buried, pointing to potential instances of misconduct and shady deals. This betrayal from within her inner circle is a massive blow to Henyard, placing her in a situation where those once trusted are now potential sources of damaging testimony. With her associates facing their own legal pressures, some may opt to cooperate with the FBI in exchange for leniency, further piling evidence against Henyard. This investigation has now moved beyond mere speculation to a deep probe that examines each of Henyard's alliances, decisions, and strategies, potentially exposing a systematic pattern of self-serving governance. As the case builds, the stakes are rising, with Henyard's legacy hanging in the balance, as the FBI edges closer to piecing together a full narrative of her alleged actions, casting an unsettling light on her rise to power and leaving her future uncertain. The scope of this scandal is enormous. It is no longer just about Dalton. Rather, it involves a network of corruption that may reach well beyond the village. The FBI is searching financial records for proof of bribery and other illicit activity. They are following the money trail, which is taking them to some rather startling locations. There may be additional indictments coming, according to people familiar with the investigations, and Henyard may not be the only one charged with a crime in the end. Even as all of this is unfolding, Henyard isn't backing down. In fact, she's doubling down instead of stepping aside or trying to make amends. She's launched a re-election campaign. Yep, you heard that right, in the midst of all this chaos, with an FBI investigation breathing down her neck and her own boyfriend testifying against her, she's running for office again. It's a bold move, to say the least, and it has people wondering just how far she's willing to go to hold AR to power. So what does her re-election campaign mean for Dalton? Let's be real here. If Henyard somehow manages to win, it could spell disaster for the village. The financial situation is already a mess, with millions in debt and mismanaged funds, and having Henyard in office for another term could only make things worse. Residents are fed up, and trust in local government is at an all-time low. The electing Henyard again would send a message that corruption and misconduct don't matter, that politicians can get away with anything as long as they can manipulate the system to their advantage. And the locals aren't keeping quiet. Ban comments are flooding in, and they're as enraged as you might anticipate. One comment sums up the situation perfectly: karma is waiting for her. So how does she sleep at night? People are furious and want answers, and let's not forget this gem of a comment. What's funny is that practically all politicians act in the same way. She was simply too foolish to avoid detection. There is a lot of truth to that. It's no secret that politicians occasionally flout the law. What do you think is the end for Tiffany Henyard, or does she have one last trick up her sleeve? Could she really win re-election despite everything that's going on? Or are we witnessing the final act of her political career? Anything that happens next is sure to be dramatic, so stay tuned. Henyard's downfall appears to be a case of getting too greedy too quickly, and this lawsuit on top of all the other lawsuits is a waste of taxpayer money.